Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. The story that I'm about to share with us today, it's a bit upsetting and some viewers can find this distressing. This baby that you're watching here, I call him a miracle baby, a child of destiny. This child was found on a Friday evening between 7:30 p.m. to 8 in the night, 8 p.m. This child started crying from that time. My brother's wife, my cousin, and two guys that were staying in the BQ started hearing the voice of a newborn since around 7:30 at night p.m. The cry kept on going and going till the next morning. During that time when they were hearing that cry, they thought it was a new cat, a baby cat or kitten crying. They never in any million years would have thought somebody would have abandoned a baby there. So this child kept crying throughout the night, thinking that it was a cat, because obviously nobody would have thought that a parent would allow their child to be crying, for that long, to prolong that kind of cry for that long without attending to the child. So they never thought it was a baby crying. Not until the next morning, one of the guys that stays in my BQ got up and said, well, this cry still carries on. Let me go and see this cat. Probably is trapped in something, or is been beaten, or is the kitten lost his mother. So he walked down to, as you can see in the video, in the bush. He walked down to where the cry was coming from. He followed the voice of the cry and he discovered it was a newborn child. So he got very scared and ran back. So what happened is my cousin went ahead. When he was shouting, oh my God, it's a baby. My cousin just went ahead, carried the baby, wrapped him up in a cloth, as you can see in the video. Wrapped him up in the cloth, and we discovered that the child was actually thrown from another building into the building, because what this parent of this new baby was trying to do was not to make this child survive. They wanted to make this child die. They wanted to kill this child for one reason or the other that they know. But to the glory of God, this child did not. The only injury this child had was just from bruises all over his body. His head was little bruises. God was so faithful that the way they threw this child from another building, from another entire building entirely into my own compound, there was the child even narrowly missed, because he would have hit his head on concrete. And that would have been the end of the story, because this parent knew what they were trying to do, to kill this child. There was no, when this was taken to the hospital, there was no fracture whatsoever in his body. God was so faithful. And the miraculous way because the reason why I said this child is a miracle child is that, in the hospital, they always warn us that we should never allow the baby umbilical cord to be exposed to hair. But the way God made this child to land in the compound was the baby landed on his chest. It was lying on his chest, so his umbilical cord was protected from hair. The only thing that happened was ants had started to eat this child, but he did not sustain any serious injury. Because the next morning when they found this child, my brother quickly took him to the hospital after calling the police. Because you know how things are in Africa. If a child was suddenly, what if the child had died in the house? It would have been another story. Because there is no way. How would you prove that it was a child being abandoned if that child had died in your compound? I just got a phone call then, because then I came back to London. I traveled back to London. I just got a phone call from my brother, and he said, sis, guess what? We found the baby in the compound. Why would somebody drop a newborn child in the compound? For what reason? So I traveled all the way back to Nigeria to go and investigate this matter, because it wasn't it was actually something serious. If the child had died in that compound, then I would be in a big trouble. So I went there, investigated, but what we discovered was that behind us, behind the compound, the house behind me, there was a security man, an Hausa man, who had a new wife. But you know how Hausa normally do, they make. Some of them, they would have paid the girl's dowry a long time ago. Then soon as soon as the girl become matured, then they would send the child to the husband. But what we discovered was that this man's wife to be had already conceived before she came down to meet this man. So because of the shame, he didn't want to send her back. So they did all their, all their kurukere bad things. They did all their wicked things. She was hiding the pregnancy till she gave birth to the child. And they already had their hidden motive, their evil motive, what they were going to do with this child. How we got to know was that Hausas, they always have organization, like the security organization, because the man was actually a security guard next to the house behind my place. So these people, after we were doing this investigation, we went to different houses and we were asking, and the men that was they were the same caucus, the same organization, security organization, with they said, madam, that man that is next to the house, we know his wife, the only person we suspected, they were telling us this, the only person we suspect is the man next door, because, and it is so glaring, it is so obvious, because his house was literally, it was just a fence that divided our house with him. The house he was guiding. So those men said the only person they suspected was that man, because that man's wife was pregnant. All of a sudden, we stopped seeing her. We stopped seeing her. So they thought, in their own instincts, they knew that was the man. So I went there to go and meet the man. I said, look, listen, I know you did this. I know you are the one who dropped this baby here. Madam, no be me, oh. You know the way Hausa talks. It is not him, he was telling me. It is not him, oh. Wallahi, salam bala. Wallahi, I didn't do it. Because even as they see me so, I'm looking for a child myself. And I pray to God, you are looking for a child, you will not see that child. Because for you to have abandoned a newborn baby, these couples, their intention was to kill this child, I tell you. Because if they were not, because on a good day, some people, if they want to abandon child, if they want to abandon babies, they sometimes wrap the baby up, they put food beside the baby, but in their own case, they made that child to be naked. The blood was still on this boy's body, the umbilical cord was still there, and they chucked him from the fence. They didn't care where that child landed. But it was just a narrow escape. That's why I called him a miracle baby. It was just a narrow escape that this baby did not hit his head on the concrete. It would have been another case. Why would somebody be so heartless? If you don't want the child, why don't you close your legs? If you don't want a child, why don't you use condom? If you don't want a child, why don't you do family planning? Instead of bringing the God's creature into the world, and at the end of the day, your own intention is to harm this child, is for you to kill the child. Whereas people are out there crying, praying for child, praying for them to conceive. Many homes has been broken. Many homes has been broken. Many homes, the marriages has been destroyed because of childbearing, because they cannot conceive, because they cannot have children. But whereas you can easily conceive, because I don't blame some people whereby because they can easily conceive. It pains me so much because I know what I had to go through before I was able to conceive a child. I had 3 miscarriages and 3 three miscarriages and 3 stillbirth. So I know what I'm talking about. I know how painful it is for you to be able to conceive a child. At the end of the day, this child is not you don't have conscience. You don't want to have anything to do with this child. Even if you got pregnant for another man, how will you be so gullible that your own man is telling you to go and chuck the baby away because he doesn't want a bastard? If that man really loves you, won't you supposed to take your child? He's now telling you to go and abandon and dump the baby away. What if that is the only child God had written for you, that is the only child that you ever have in your life? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about that? People are crying every day, praying and saying, God, even if you can give me a child, even if you can give me even one. Why some people, they can easily conceive and they don't appreciate that baby? I don't blame them, because you don't value child. You don't value you don't value God's creature. Because if you had valued that such baby, innocent child that knows nothing, that have nothing, they don't even know anything. You brought them into this world and you just want to end their life just like that, as if they are animals. Not even an animal. Nobody can treat animals like that. Because I know the way sometimes when we lose animals in this country, we know the way, the distress, the sadness in your heart when you be going up and down, doing notice up and down. You are looking for your cat, you are looking for your dog. Now a real human being, somebody will just jump them off like that, just like a piece of rubbish. God is watching you. If you don't want a child, why don't you just close your legs? Why don't you close your legs? Why would you bring such a beautiful child into this world and then you want to end the life of that such baby? When you cannot create not even a fly. You cannot create even a fly. I see some people on social media, they will be dumping babies. I was even thinking, okay, I never knew it's going to be so close to home. I would also experience such a thing. He was telling me then, madam, Allah, I didn't do it. Allah, I did look for. And you will look for a baby. Because this child, we thank God this child is survived. And because of the safety of this child, I will not disclose anything about this baby, because this child has been adopted, is in a good home, being well taken care of. But I pray that one day, this video, the parent of these children, this child, and every parent that think they can be throwing children away as they like, one day you will come across this video. And it will be a lesson for you that in life, you cannot do things and go scot-free. There will always be a nemesis that will catch up on you. There will always be a nemesis that will catch up on you. Because you cannot do something and go scot-free. You cannot create something, but you can destroy something. You can destroy what God created. Because the motive of this parent is to kill this child. They have no other good intention for this baby, because it is not the man believes it is not his child, he's a bastard. How can I bring up a bastard? But do you know the man? Do you know if you are even going to be able to impregnate a woman? The boy is an innocent child. He doesn't even know anything. He's innocent. But it's the mother that flirts around, open her legs, get pregnant for somebody else, and now you can't keep the baby. You cannot face the world because of shame. Now the only solution for you to get yourself out of such a shame is for you to destroy a creature of God, for you to kill that child. God is watching you. And every woman who is going out there conceiving, you will carry that baby for a good 9 months. Yet you will abandon that child. Some of them, they will abandon the child in dustbins. We've seen them. Some of them, they flush them in the sewer. We've seen it. But if somebody would have dropped a baby in my compound, I would say, hell no, it will never happen. But it did happen. Because as you can see in this video, if that child had died, I tell you, they would arrest me. What would a dead baby be looking for? They will find a dead baby in my compound. What would have happened? What would have happened to me? What would have happened to the people are around me, even if I'm not around? But I just pray, all these people doing this evil act, going out there conceiving, not closing your leg, not using protection, you just get pregnant and you think you could just get rid of the child, and you think you could just kill the child just like that, without having a conscience, without thinking twice. Remember, there is nothing you do in this life that you would go scot-free. There is always a payback time. A payback time is coming. And you don't even know what this child can be tomorrow. You don't know what this child can be tomorrow. That's why I said this child is a miracle baby. Because God have a lot of things in store for this boy. And it's the fact. Well, it's so emotional to me because I knew what I went through before I was able to conceive. My story will be for another day. I will share my story with you one day, what I went through before I was able to have a child, before I was able to be called the mother. I will leave this story here tonight. Like, I don't want to prolong this video too long, but I just want to leave a good message to every evil parent out there. If you don't want a child, put that child for adoption. Don't kill a child. They are innocent. Don't kill a baby because you want to save yourself from shame. It is better you carry that child and
ohun tó bá dára kó rọ̀ fọ́mọ rẹ̀, ohun tó bá dára kó rọ̀ fọ́mọ rẹ̀, ohun tó bá dára kó rọ̀ fọ́mọ rẹ̀, ohun tó bá dára kó rọ̀ fọ́mọ rẹ̀. Tó bá lógún ẹrú kó yá wọ̀ fà mẹ́fà, tó bá lógún ẹrú kó yá wọ̀ fà ọgbọ̀n. Ìjọ tó bá kú ọmọ làdélé, bàbá lókè jẹ́ kọ́mọ rẹ̀ wọlé dé. Ohun tó bá dára máa rà fọ́mọ mi, aṣọ tó bá dára máa rà fọ́mọ mi, ohun tó bá dára máa rà fọ́mọ mi, ẹ̀wù tó bá dára máa rà fọ́mọ mi. Tí n bá lógún ẹrú yàwọ̀ fà mẹ́fà. Tí n bá lógún ẹrú sẹ́ kí n yàwọ̀ fà ọgbọ̀n. Ìjọ tí n bá kú ọmọ làbẹ̀lẹ̀. Bàbá lókè jẹ́ kọ́mọ mi wọlé gbé mi nítorí ọmọ lọ́ṣọ́ láyé. Ọmọ lọ́ṣọ́. Ọmọ lọ́ṣọ́ láyé. Ọmọ lọ́ṣọ́ nítorí ọmọ lọ́ṣọ́ láyé. Ọmọ lọ́ṣọ́. Ọmọ